probably the second darkest Maiden album next to the X Factor. It does not have a title track, many themes revolve around war, and is about the same 70-minute length. It is progressive, and the band put a lot of thought and care into the songs, just like in the X Factor. Half of the album consists of songs that are longer than 7 minutes. Steve wanted the album to have a very raw, unaltered sound, so Kevin, Shirley, and Steve decided not to studio enhance and master the album. The band hold this as one of their best works, and Yannick and Nico think it is their best album for its adventurous progression. Nico had actually written a song for this album, but there are already 10 other tracks ready to go. The artwork was done by Tim Bradstreet, a comic book artist. Many mysteries surrounded this album. Unlike the last album, Dance at Death, Iron Maiden was very secretive with the album. No one even knew that they were making an album. Then arrived the reincarnation of Benjamin Brieg. Who was Benjamin Brieg? There was a mysterious biography of this character that was created by the band. They released the song as a single. It was very original, progressive, and extremely fresh and innovative. They then released Different World as a single. It was one of the few songs that was less progressive and more classic Maiden on the album. The hype train was at full speed. On the first leg of the tour, they played the entire 70-minute album all the way through. This pissed off many fans, but showed that the band had balls. Iron Maiden had completely rid themselves of childish ideas from the early 90s, and had completely matured musically to release what many believe to be the most real and passionate Maiden album that is a true role model of their discography. A Matter of Life and Death. This album here, Matter of Life and Death, is probably my personal favorite Iron Maiden album of all time. Now, I'm not going to say it's like the most flawless or anything. In fact, a lot of fans don't really even like this one. And I sort of blame it on the fact that they decided for some reason to play the entire album live. And it was kind of more of a progressive departure album. I mean, there's a couple moments of like throwback feel, but a lot of it is just kind of this new idea. That's what makes it pretty good, is that it actually executes a completely new direction well, in my opinion, and that's why a lot of people really love it. That's why a lot of people hate it, because it is very, very different. The album came out in 2006, and the artwork is really cool. I've always really liked it. Some people bash on it because the Eddie is not on the forefront. Eddie is the soldier that's up on the tank, and he looks pretty cool. And I think the artwork is trying to symbolize that these soldiers are either coming back dead from the war, or they were going to the war dead, or something like that, or that the soldiers in the war are just dead soldiers. And it pretty much shows the theme of this album that has to do a lot with war and dark themes. A lot of people even refer to it as the X Factor 2, and Bruce pulls it off admirably. You'd think that with a darker, more serious album he would sound stupid, but he actually sings very passionate. And I think one of the titles they were considering was The Legacy and then The Pilgrim, and I think if they had to pick one of those, The Legacy would have been pretty cool. Nico McBrain has said that for this album he kind of just decided to play more of a groove as opposed to going progressive Neil Peart drumming style like he always does. Now, the guitars in this album I think sound pretty good. There's a lot of points where you can hear, because a lot of it's kind of one takes, you can hear some sloppiness. But I think Adrian gives some of his best solos of his career here, and Dave Murray plays admirably as well. It's definitely a step up in performances from like Dance of Death. It's just so solid all the way through that if you pretty much like any of the epic songs, then you're most likely to like the whole album. And a lot of people try to say that this album is like, a lot of the songs are just like two riffs and a bunch of choruses. And that's not true. I mean, there is some instances of chorus repetition, but it stays true to the Iron Maiden epic writing roots, where they actually have long instrumental sections that are well thought out, have great riffs in them. The intros are lengthy, but are appropriate, atmospheric, and actually go somewhere, and every song has a payoff. And Yannick sounds decent on this album. He definitely contributes some cool guitar solos, but it seems like they didn't have Yannick appear as much on this album. I gotta say that the absolute worst thing about this album, it's kind of a glaring problem that will continue for the next couple albums, is that Kevin Shirley for some reason did not master this album at all. So it just kind of sounds like it's raw from the studio. It sounds like they're playing it live. But there's also some points where it starts to sound really sloppy, and there's even like weird guitar notes that you can hear that fuck up. And this is also where Bruce's voice was starting to get very strainy. However, I do think his vocal performance is definitely better on this album compared to Dance of Death. When he hits high notes, he strains a little bit, but he actually hits the notes pretty well. So it sounds more like operatic and opera-style vocals, as opposed to just hitting straight-up high notes like he used to in the day. So we start with a really, really good song called Different World. And I remember the first time I heard this album, I was recommended to it by a friend, and I heard this song, and I was like, holy shit, that's really cool. It's very different. It's like super happy. I don't know, it's so up-tempo, it's so upbeat, it's so well written. All the riffs in there are really good and catchy, and Bruce's vocal performance is incredible. And I absolutely love that chorus. It's just so catchy. I mean, even though it is cheesy. And then there's like a second chorus where Bruce is singing even more passionately. He's hitting these great high notes, and I think it's even better than the normal chorus. Then Adrian rips into one of his absolute best solos of his career. It's really passionate, it's really cool, it's super bluesy. And a great way to open this album, but kind of like songs like Man on the Edge on the X Factor, how that was the more upbeat song, but the rest of it was dark. Pretty much everything after this, except maybe The Pilgrim, it's a plunge into dark songwriting once again. So now we go into one of my absolute favorite songs on the album, These Colors Don't Run. Now this song, I remember when I first heard it, I kind of went through a phase of like depression and stuff like that. And I heard this song, and it just, every time I heard it, it always made me feel really happy. That chorus, everything about it was just kind of has this dark vibe that's super passionate. It's about going off to war and stuff like that, and leaving all your stuff behind to fight for your country. And I think the character gets like scared in the war, but then decides, I don't give a fuck anymore, I'm gonna fight. And it starts with really melodic atmospherics, and then it goes right into a really, really great riff, and Bruce sings really beautifully, some really good lyrics. The chorus is really catchy, even though it's kind of more of a like gallopy march sort of pace. Bruce is singing some incredible high notes. Then in the middle section, they go into this incredible riff, and they throw like layering on top of it. They'll have keyboards and stuff like that and play really great melodies over top of it. It sounds so powerful. And then they stop to have like a cool, quick Dave Murray solo, and then it returns to that awesome upbeat riff again. And then you have Adrian come and play an awesome solo that's super passionate and powerful. I think it's one of the best parts of the entire song. And then it goes to this really cool chanting part that's super melodic and catchy. This song is really cool. I can't believe it was not a single, because it sounds like almost like a Number of the Beast. It's a longer hit single sounding song. It's almost 7 minutes, but it does not feel that long. Then we have Brighter Than 1,000 Suns, and this song took me a while to get into for some reason. This one is about nuclear war, and it starts kind of the same as These Colors Don't Run, which could be like, same with the X Factor, how a lot of songs kind of start slow, and a lot of people will be bored with that. But it's all about building atmosphere, and this album is pretty much filled with that, I would say. This song has a really great intro. It's a little bit shorter, I think, than These Colors Don't Run. And it gets right into it. When it does, it's epic, symphonic, it's slower, it's super fucking heavy and powerful. And it sounds like when Bruce comes in to sing, he's like super pissed off. And then you go into this like little chorus part where it gets really melodic. And Bruce keeps saying, and you got chorus repetition here, he says, out of the darkness, brighter than 1,000 suns. After a couple times of that, then he kind of goes into a more fierce version of that. We say, out of the darkness, brighter than 1,000 suns. I think it's done tastefully here. Like I said, the music kind of builds along with it, and when it hits that apex point of it getting fierce, he starts singing it more fierce. They go into a great riff, and I think that it's an example of chorus repeating, but they actually make it so creative, and they do so much with just the repeating chorus that it's actually really creative. Then they go to a really, really, really good Dave Murray solo that's super passionate and powerful and really atmospheric. And then you go into a awesome like middle section part that has this really fast, heavy gallop to it. And I love the part when Bruce comes in, he says, "All nations are rising, your acid veils of love and hate." That's so poetic, and the lyrics here are incredibly poetic. It's not super Steve Heresy that's just banging you over the head that this is like a anti-nuclear World War III song, but it's just so poetic in the way it's delivered. And it goes into an incredible Adrian Smith solo, and that reprises the "Out of the Darkness" chorus, but this time it's even better. When Bruce comes in super fierce, it's even meaner and more passionate than before. Incredible song that is the first epic length song in the album, and once again, it's long for a reason, it's well written. Then we have The Pilgrim, which is a more short, straight to the point, Yannick Gur's written song, believe it or not. I related a lot to the song in the next album, Alchemist. It starts with a really cool, classic sounding Maiden riff that goes into a really cool verse gallop that sounds kind of different, and Bruce is singing really passionate and cool here too. Then they go to this one part that's like a really fast chugging riff sort of section, and they all sing this like vocal harmony together. It's really cool. I absolutely love that chorus where Bruce, it's pretty different from what they've done before. Bruce is singing really high-pitched and really operatic. It sounds really good. And they go into this really cool Mid-Eastern sounding Phrygian style riff that they play throughout the song, and it's really, really cool. It kind of sounds like one of the riffs on the song Power Slave. And then it goes into a really cool solo section. There's some nice riffs in there, and Yannick Gers plays a really, really good solo, one of the best of his career. Definitely a really great punchy song that for some reason a lot of people say is one of the weakest off the whole album. I never understood that because it sounds like classic Maiden, so whatever. Now we have The Longest Day, which is an interesting song. This is another epic song, and it starts perfectly. You have this like weird type of gallop going on with the bass and the drums, and then all of a sudden the guitars come with this really great, heavy, dark riff, and the atmospherics here are perfect. This song is about D-Day, and without even knowing what the song's about, you can tell this is about D-Day, especially how the intro, aka the first verse, and the riffs, the atmosphere, everything just feels like your boat is lurching towards the beaches of Normandy, ready to get fucking killed. And Bruce builds up the atmosphere perfectly. This intro / verse changes a lot with the layering and stuff like that. And I love the part when Bruce says, "Your overlord, your master, not your god." I also love the lyric, "Helpless souls puking, shaking, fear to take a bullet for those who set them here." And then Nico throws in these cool fills when he says, "The cliffs erupt in flame." And then the song goes right into it with a really cool chorus, maybe? The song kind of has two choruses, unless you want to call this like the verse of the song. It's so drastically different. They go from a really dark, serious tone all of a sudden to this like really happy, exciting tone that sounds really good. Bruce Dickinson shines here. And there's a part where he says blood in the sand, and you can hear Yannick either fuck up on purpose or he just throws in this like weird like pinch harmonic note. But then they get into like the next chorus part where he's saying, "How long is the longest day till we finally make it home?" And he kind of says that over and over. But once again, it's another example of the chorus working when it's repetitive as hell. It's not like he's just saying the same word over and over, and he's singing it passionately. It sounds really powerful. And then you get to an incredible middle section that has some really great riffs in it. It's super epic, and there's a lot of great, like, happy Iron Maiden riffs in there. Stuff that kind of sounds, it basically sounds a lot like Maiden, but it sounds like something they've never done before. It's like Iron Maiden, but really mature. It sounds great. Most of this whole middle section is like a badass groove. There's a really awesome Adrian solo, great transition there. And then Dave comes in with an amazing solo that leads you right back into the chorus. An incredible song that a lot of people who don't like the album seem to bash, but you gotta admit, the atmosphere in this song is incredible. Then we have probably the weakest song on the album, and I mean, this song's still good. We have Out of the Shadows, which is about childbirth and stuff like that. And Bruce Dickinson and I believe Adrian Smith wrote this song together, and it's kind of more straightforward. It's ballady, it's more melodic, and it's definitely a lot better than some of their other ballads like Wasting Love or Coming Home or something like that. And the chorus on this is fantastic. Bruce sings admirably. His high vocals, his operatic stuff sounds perfect here. It's super melodic and probably one of the best choruses of the whole album. What's really cool though is all of a sudden it stops to have a really cool middle section that every time I hear it, it's like, it's total prog. It goes from a like ballady song to this really great cool middle section that has all these like cool acoustics and stuff to it as well. It's perfect. Dave Murray pretty much does solos throughout the song, but then later Adrian does this awesome kick-ass solo. Then we have what I consider to be the absolute best song off the album, and one of their best songs, because remember how I said that there's a bits and pieces on this album where they kind of show their Iron Maiden classic colors, but the rest of it is just this whole new idea, this 100% progressive Iron Maiden metal. This song's the epitome of that because it's like nothing that we've ever heard before from Iron Maiden. It's just so original. It starts out with this really bleak atmosphere, great Dave Murray soloing and stuff like that, and then it goes into this like bass-driven part that keeps changing. It sounds very prog. Bruce is singing some really great lyrics like, "Let me tell you about my life, now my need to reach the stars." And it really draws you into the song. I mean, this is one of those situations where it's another slow intro, but it draws you in. The atmosphere here is strong, it's well written, and then it goes right into that riff. And this riff is one of the best Iron Maiden riffs. It's not like super intricate or anything, but it's the whole song's pretty much like a slow groove. But the riffs that they do throughout the song is so progressive, it's so great. And that main riff is the absolute apex. Bruce is not really hitting a bunch of operatic notes in this song, but he's singing super fierce and passionate. And I love the chorus where he says, someone to save me from my hell, and then he hits a really good high note. They go into a really awesome middle section that has a lot of great riffs. One of them sounds really symphonic, and one of them just sounds like classic melodic, intricate guitar Iron Maiden. Then they go into that mid-tempo groove again, and Dave Murray comes in with my favorite Dave Murray solo of all time. Now, he has so many damn good ones, but this one is melodic and passionate as hell. And like I said on past reviews, Dave Murray seems to write just kind of decent solos on most of the new albums, but then he'll write an incredible one on the song he co-wrote. And this one is that solo. He absolutely rips on this song, and that is the, like, what this whole song was building up towards. Every song has a payoff, and this is one of the absolute best payoffs, is Dave Murray's incredible solo. And I absolutely love the end of his guitar solo where he does this really cool blues thing that goes right back in that main riff. Then we have the epic on the album. This is kind of another album where there's two songs, almost the same length, and it's like, what's the epic? But I think it's a little bit more clear that this is the epic. It's the Steve Harris solely written song. It has a diverse middle section. It has guitar solos from everyone. They played it live on both legs of the tour. So this is definitely the epic, in my opinion. It's a really, really good song, and I'd say its only weakness lies in the chorus repeats, and they play like the chorus 6 times for some reason, but the chorus isn't too long and it's not bad or anything, so I'd say it's the only thing that's bringing it down is they spend a little bit more time showing off that good chorus than they do with a really great thought out instrumental section. But the instrumental sections and the verses and everything, he pretty much delivers the goods, so it's one of the weaker epics structurally, but it's still, like I said, it delivers everything. It has a really cool payoff as well. This is a very anti-war type of song, and it's like anti-war over religion and stuff like that. How is religion, if religion is about peace, then why have there been so many wars about it? It starts with a cool bass intro that goes right into the really great melodic section where Bruce is singing really softly, and then it gets abruptly heavy and they're doing a really cool chug, and it sounds like the song's building up to something chaotic, and then go into that chorus where Bruce is saying, "Won't you tell me what love is? Won't you tell me what life is? Won't you tell me what war is? And then tell me what life is?" And my one friend described to me that the vocals sound like Bruce is singing as if he's a violin or something like that, and that's really cool because it sounds super symphonic, and they don't even throw in that many like keyboards within this chorus. it's solely led by Bruce, and Bruce delivers one of his best vocal performances in this chorus, so it doesn't matter to me that right after that they play like half a verse, and it goes right into a chorus, they play another verse, and then the chorus again. And then they play a new chorus where Bruce is saying, "For the greater good of God," like 4 times. But I don't really care. It's not done terribly. It's done tastefully. They go into a really cool middle section that show off some really great riffs that are super symphonic, super heavy, super badass. First there's a solo from Yannick, then a really cool one from Adrian where they have this like really cool groovy bass riff going on. And then Dave ends the solo section with an incredible solo that goes into the payoff of the song, this really epic riff that's one of the absolute best Iron Maiden riffs ever, and all 3 guitars contribute perfectly for this triple guitar riff that's absolutely astounding. And then it returns to those choruses again, and the song pretty much kind of goes back through the intro for some reason. It seems like the song buys up time, but it's so well written, the parts of it are so good that I don't give a shit. Then we have one of the best songs of the album, and one of the most progressive ones, even though it's one of the shorter epics. We have Lord of Light, which is about Satan. I think the 2nd or 3rd song that they've ever written about the subject. And this one is more about like Satan like tempting you and stuff like that. And Bruce sings amazingly on this song. He really has the perfect atmosphere of Satan, where he sounds like not necessarily super evil like a Moonchild or something like that, but this time he sounds like super sad, like, "Come here, let me tell you my story," or whatever, "You gotta believe me," and stuff like that, "I know the truth, listen to what I say." He's like tempting you. But then when the song comes in, after that melodic intro, Bruce doing that, you go into an incredible Adrian Smith riff that's fucking ridiculously heavy, and they go right into this like really badass gallop, and Bruce is singing ridiculously operatic, and it's not really that strainy. It sounds perfect. He's hitting all the notes right, and he sounds super passionate and like evil in a way. And I love that chorus. It's more straightforward, but Bruce sounds really pissed off, and it's kind of melodic too. Then they go into like a middle section that's really melodic. It gets soft again, and Bruce is saying these really great lyrics. And then it gets heavier again with more of like a groovy gallop, and Bruce, I think, says, "We were cast out by your God, your father's hand." Then there's a really cool dual solo thing. Adrian does a solo, and they do some cool riffs, and then Dave does a solo. And then there's some really awesome, badass melodic riffs. They do the chorus again. And then there's like this amazing like ending lead guitar riff. Absolutely incredible. And it's one of the most underrated Iron Maiden songs because they kind of put it in a place where a lot of people wouldn't really listen to, especially people that don't like the album. They're not going to get to this point. So then we have The Legacy, the Yannick Gers epic. And I think this would have made for a cool title track song. It's just like a lot of other Yannick Gers epics, where it's slow and epic for most of it, but then goes into like a really fast section throughout the second half of the song. But this one's interesting because the Journeyman, Yannick had this idea to kind of have a lengthy acoustic intro to this song. I mean, when you're doing an acoustic intro like this, Legacy succeeds because it sounds like it's telling you this interesting tale. It's building up the scenery, it's building up atmosphere, and Yannick and Bruce really get this great atmosphere. Especially Bruce's singing is so much better on The Legacy because he puts a lot more passion. It sounds like he's telling you this story of his life or something like that. And then the acoustics start giving way to epic symphonics, and the song kicks into the main riff after about 3 minutes. But like I said, the song, the intro can be whatever length, as long as it builds up the atmosphere admirably and goes somewhere with it, and it definitely does. The riff is epic, it's slow, it's pounding. Bruce sounds incredible, but what I've always found weird was the first verse. It sounds like there's a weird vocal effect going on, or the production failed. I don't know, tell me if you guys hear that too, but his voice sounds weird. The verse sounds incredible, and they go into this pre-chorus where Bruce sounds amazing. The symphonics are especially epic here. And then they go to this chorus that's super unique. It sounds like they haven't done this before, and they all have like vocal harmonies together. It sounds really good. And then they go into that fast section, like I said,
kind of like Dream of Mirrors does, but this time it's even better. There's more great riffs, and the lead guitar riff that Yannick does here is absolutely incredible. And then there's a really great Yannick guitar solo, and they do this really cool singing at the end that sounds super happy. This song is a great way to end the album. They could have ended their whole career with it, because it's about the legacy that you leave behind and stuff like that, and was it your life worth living?